retire as champion!
Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about Symmetra's teleporter. How to best utilize her ability to control the flow of attacking and defending. So Symmetra's unique ability to use her ultimate to allow your team to teleport to different locations on the map is really a unique skill that it highlights her ability to challenge the flow of a game. It can mix up a defending team that's suddenly getting flanked by attackers from unique angles and greater numbers than they were expecting, and it can get a defending team back to the front lines quickly, allowing them to stop a strong offensive push. But there's a certain subtle skill to using the teleporter that can really benefit a team to its greatest potential. Knowing when to hide a teleporter, knowing when to place a teleporter at a junction of flanking routes, knowing when to set a teleporter in a position that will most greatly get your team back to defending a strong point. Basically, there's three things to keep in mind when placing a teleporter. First is, where is the front lines? On payload maps, you can count on the front line being near where the payload is. On capture point, sometimes it's not as easy to get a bead on where your frontline attackers or defenders are setting up their stronghold defense point or pushing at that current moment. But you need to know where you're going to get maximum bang for your buck for where you're going to put your teleporter in relation to the front line. The second thing to keep in mind is teleporter safety. You need to know how much you can risk your teleporter placement in relation to the enemy team. Will they find the teleporter quickly and destroy it too fast for you to get any use out of it? Or can you put it in a place that's going to be hidden and out of the way enough that it's going to be capable of getting the maximum amount of teleports out of it? Finally, you need to keep in mind options for your team. When an ally comes out of a teleporter, they need to be given a breadth of options for ways they can maneuver the map after they exit the teleporter. One of the things about the spawn points for both teams is it provides them with a great amount of access points out of the spawn. It gives them options of different routes, different forks in the road that they can take. You want to provide the same thing with your teleporter. When they exit, you don't want to give them just one area that they can exit, that they may get ambushed or they may come up to a point that's too heavily defended. You want to give them options out of a room in an area that gives them access to different areas of the map. Let's take a quick look at a basic overlay of a typical map in Overwatch. You have the attacker start, the payload, which needs to be moved along a primary route, and you have the capture point at the end, along with several flanking routes, several overlook positions, areas that can act as side areas to maneuvering around the map. Now let's push time forward a bit and pretend that the payload has moved about halfway to the capture point. At this moment, Symmetra usually has her ultimate ready, and she needs to make a decision about where she's going to place her teleporter for the team. So this first position to the left of the payload really keys into the three important points of remembering the best practices for placing teleporters. It's parallel to the payload, it's going to be close to the front lines, it's out of the way enough that it won't be caught in the crossfire of the primary front lines fighting, and it provides the team with several options once they come out of the teleporter. They can flank around the long way, straight to the capture point and behind the front lines of the enemy team. It provides access to the overlook position, and it provides access directly behind the payload for the frontline tanks that want to get in there and continue the push. Now let's go back and let's look at an alternate position for Symmetra's teleporter. While this position might not provide as many options for her team for flanking routes, it does provide them with a height advantage with direct access to the overlook position, as well as being slightly more out of the way, which provides it with a little bit more cover and protection. Now let's go back and flip it around and look at the best placement for Symmetra on defense. Generally, defending is less of an art than attacking with Symmetra's ultimate. You want to make sure that your team is being able to return to the strong point defense as quickly as possible. Generally, you want to put that on the main route, slightly hidden, slightly out of the way, not in the direct line of fire, but your team needs to get back to defending as fast as they possibly can. And generally this means it needs to be closer to the main route and more on a direct path to get back to defending. Ultimately, good teleporter practice is about providing options safely to your team. A balance needs to be struck between getting back into the fray and being caught off guard as soon as you come out of the teleporter. A good Symmetra needs to be able to read the flow of the map, know where the strong point defenses are, know where the attacking and defending front lines are, and be able to get her team into the best position to push or defend as quickly as possible.